Hi and welcome everyone to ChillaxCin. Oh gosh, who missed me last week? Everyone. I know. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. For those of you who are joining us for the very first time, welcome. You know what to do. You come in, you sit, you relax, well, you chillax with me, Cindy Ann. So I am your host, Cindy Ann Boasso. And tonight joining me is he's the co-leader of Oye Promotions section in Lost Tribe. He's a communications and marketing professional, and he's a volunteer at the COVID mass vaccination site. Tonight we're talking ChillaxCin. Jason said it, not me. So we're talking vaccine, who should get it, why you should get it, who already got it. And Adrian has a couple of things he wants to say to us. So grab something to drink, a cup of tea, or water with something in it. And let me welcome my guest tonight, Adrian Raymond. Why did I have a friend called Adrian Bernard? I'm so sorry.
Hello.
Hi, are you hearing me, Adrian?
Are you hearing me or am I muted? No, I'm good.
No, I'm hearing you.
Good. How are you?
I am fine. Welcome. Thank you for agreeing to join us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I love your t-shirt, vaccinated according to Fauci. I like that. AF
yes,
according to Fauci.
Yes. There's that.
That's exactly what it is. That's what it is. I love it. Yeah. Adrian, so tell me, you are the co-leader and specialist with Lost Tribe. Tell me what was the attitude in camp once you all realized Carnival 2021 was off?
Well, I think that for a lot of us, we were literally hoping against hope that something could occur. And I know that at one point in time, there was a discussion regarding having just a local only carnival because the borders were closed. And following that, we realized that that was not going to be possible. And obviously there was a certain level of disappointment. Obviously, you creatively, we had actually begun the process of developing for Carnival 2021, and you realized that it wasn't going to happen. But my section, we went ahead and we did present a costume, got it photographed. We called it Hope on the Horizon. At the time, case number loads were very, very, very low. And we knew that vaccines were coming. So for us, we felt there was hope on the horizon. And at the time, we didn't even know there was any other strain necessarily. You kind of in some distance about the Gamma strain or the P1 variant or the Brazilian variant. And there was no such thing as Delta. So
right.
We were very, very, very confident. And the government had also announced the fact that they had once they got the vaccine, that they had a very seemingly well thought out vaccination plan. So, but you kind of pivot. We Lost Tribe did a film, Lavway, that was very, very, very well received.
Yes, I saw it.
Designed us an opportunity to kind of explore a different side. Our band leader, our fearless band leader, Mickey Mirage, took on the role of producer, director, co-writer, etc. We were able to bring together a number of soca artists and present music in a way that I hadn't heard before, and really gave us chills, etc.
Yes.
It was a little bit abstract, but I think people really enjoyed conceptually how it looked, the idea of presenting Juve in a different way, the stick fighting in a different way.
Yeah.
We got positive feedback because of that. So that's how the band pivoted. We still did our costume and did a whole lovely photo shoot, etc. So, and a lot of our committee members actually were at the Savannah with a little beatbox, social distancing, but kind of at least paid homage to the Savannah. So it was, I thought it would have been, it was sad. I thought it would have been sadder, but it wasn't too bad. We kind of got
You made it work. You made it work. Yeah. Well, I mean, what will you do, right?
But we couldn't do anything. We had to stay home.
Exactly.
And let me just say this. I mean, there was always a lot of criticism of people in the mass fraternity, but I must say there was a level of responsibility. I mean, the industry has been decimated, but there was a level of responsibility, understanding that people are the reasons that carnival, mass, and events happen. Correct. And if it is that we don't keep people safe, then we can't have events, we can't have mass, we can't have carnival. So for us, the sacrifice now is much more, it's much more important than the good times, so that we can have those good times years to come, hopefully.
Okay. So I like that, because now we could kind of segue into discussing lockdown. Because I mean,
Right.
Trinidad and Tobago, they have been on lockdown since March last year, right?
Well, we have been on restriction since March of last year. There was, I think there was a lockdown from March until I think June of 2020. Then we kind of came back out. You know, you had your different capacities in terms of public transportation. You may have some level of rotation in offices and stuff like that, but we were more or less living with COVID. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Looking
the
at
borders
numbers.
were still closed. I
But the
mean, there
borders were
was,
still closed.
yeah,
But for us here in the cocoon, it was, we
yeah.
were living with it. We were living with it. And then once the numbers went back up, I think on April the 19th, they confirmed the presence of the, I think it's the Gamma variant, the P1, or what was known as the Brazilian variant,
yes.
right? And then by the 23rd, they saw it in 4 other people, not with no contact tracing. So the first one that they discovered it. And thereafter, we just saw the numbers begin to skyrocket. And we went back into lockdown, and this one was a little bit tougher because it was longer. It was more stringent.
So
it
let
came
me,
with SOE
let me
and a
just,
curfew.
yeah, so let me just, because I want us to talk. We're not here to blame anyone or point fingers or anything. So I want us to discuss a bit about vaccination, because that's why we're here, right?
Right.
Because there are people who are going to take the vaccine. They are for it. They believe in the science, and they are for it. There are
Right.
those people who, they're kind of on the fence. They're scared. They're not too sure what they should do. They're waiting to see, you know, who's going to take it, who's not going to take it. Some of them for health reasons or whatever other concerns they may have. And then there are those who are not going to take it, regardless of what you say, what I say. They're just not interested in the vaccine. They may be anti-vaxxers, or they just don't want this particular vaccine.
Right.
I want us to focus more on the first 2 types of people. What do you say to people who have already gotten the vaccine? Because they have the vaccine.
Right.
I'm vaccinated. I'm fully vaccinated.
I'm
But
vaccinated as well.
we still have a responsibility as well, regardless.
Right.
But what would you say to people who are fully vaccinated?
I think that, you know, and particularly for Trinbagonians, if you're fully vaccinated, I think that it is important that, you know, it for many people, it reaches down in terms of it is preventative medicine or preventative healthcare. And many times we don't necessarily speak about it, you know. We tend to, it's one of those things you don't necessarily discuss. But in this case, I think that you have to normalize it. You have to do those social media posts, and you have to also tell of your experiences, and be very honest about telling of those experiences, because what people need to understand is that, like anyone who has doubts, like everybody goes into it with a certain level of intrepidation, because, you know, you have to get a needle in your arm. It's something that you have to do, etc. You have to register. You have to go line up. You have to this. You have to that. But the reality is that when it is that you tell of the experiences, and hats off to the professionals, the health professionals of the Ministry of Health, and hats off to all the doctors, the nurses, everyone who kind of comes out to make sure that vaccinations can happen. It's important that you post. It's important that you normalize it. It's important that you speak to the sense of relief that you feel. It's important that you tell your vaccination story. And the reason why I like to use the term story is because the moment you say story, Trinbagonians and anybody in the world, they lean forward, because
they love that. The word story, yes.
Exactly, we're cautious. And then when it is that you also explain, I took my vaccination because, and you list your reasons, that brings a certain level of relatability to anyone listening to your story. When it is that you also speak about the fact that, and everybody's experiences have been, for 90%, 95% of the time, have been great. I did not feel the needle. The wait was not particularly long. Even while I was waiting, you're outside with Trinbagonians, you're talking, you don't know who you're talking to because they're already masked up, but you know Trinity, you know who you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you go upstairs and you observe you for a little while for the first one, less time for the second one. And it's very, 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 very seamless. And so that for me, I think that it is especially important that you're able to share that with whoever in whatever forum, whether it is that you're a good writer, so you do it on social media, whether it's a Instagram story, whether it's a post. Try to as well, if you haven't gone, you're going for your second shot, dress up nice, because for me, I felt it was a very important day, because it meant, because I think in history we're going to be talking about BC and AC, before COVID and after COVID. And this is really your after COVID story. And share that with everybody that will listen to you, because people are curious, because that is the key to getting with that second group who is not too sure. If you know of a co-worker, a relative, a friend who has gotten the vaccine, you feel more confident to go and do it. So that true story at work, we sent, when we had our first adopters, as I like to call them, and they went to work and they went back to their various departments, their colleagues then felt a little bit more confident about doing it. And apart from which, also as well, if it is that you've been vaccinated and you went with your family, you went with your sister, you went with your granny. So for example, my mom, who's in her 70s, and my grandmother, who's 97, both got their vaccines, right? And they're showing off on me because they had literally no side effects. I mean, I had like a little bit of lethargic, slight muscle pain, but I didn't really have much side effects, but they had absolutely no side effects at all. I think that helps as well. The fact that you have these older persons who went and all of us are fine.
So we kind of doing both, because you're having a conversation for both people, for those who are fully vaccinated, as well as you are kind of reaching the people who are scared too. Because what happens, I find, now we kind of overexposed to information. Way back when there was measles and yellow fever and we got the vaccine, we didn't have internet. We didn't have, access to all this information to just have us so, so overwhelmed with this, And so how do you talk to the people now? Because you're saying for those who've got the vaccine, we have, a certain kind of responsibility. What about those who are scared that if they get the vaccine, there's a chip in their arm? I mean, there's so much to read up on. And, and you don't want to tell people, look, really? Because it's legitimate fear and concerns that people have, and we don't want to dismiss it. So we want to reach them on a level where, we kind of like address their fears and also encourage them that, look, this is for all of us.
Well, the thing is that, again, it was back to a certain level of relatability. We've all heard those stories. We've all heard the stories about the chip in the arm. We've all heard the stories that in 2 years is this, that we don't know the necessarily long-term effects and so forth and that kind of thing. We would have all done our particular journey and done our particular research to make a determination as to why we would have taken the vaccine. What is important as well is that you share that information that you have. And if it is that you don't necessarily know the information in terms of the concerns that they have, you can still go follow up on it, because generally it's very easy to find legitimate sources of information. The key difference here with anybody that you're dealing with, particularly if it is that you're able to have those face-to-face or phone call conversations, is that they know you. There's a level of trust that exists. They can feel, and you have to allow people to feel vulnerable, because many times people have a certain level of shame in terms of saying that they're scared of the vaccine. I know grown men who their fear is the fear of the needle.
And that's I am scared of the needle too. I mean, they had to give me a lollipop and stuff. I'm not embarrassed.
The thing is that it's something that people are generally petrified about. And people hear all sorts of information. You don't necessarily know what to believe, because the truth of the matter is that none of us have ever dealt with a situation like this before. This virus that came and basically just shut down the entire world as we know it. And it's gotten to a point where we've been in it for so long that it feels very normal for a lot of people now. So the idea that this little tuchuk in your arm could be the end of that is sometimes something that's so mind-blowing to them, because there's so much anxiety, so much suppression, so much worry, so much concern that has been going on. And you telling me that this vaccine that they developed in a year, because I find they develop it fast, not realizing that it's been technology that has been around, or medical technology that's been around for a very, very long time, for at least 30 years. And in the case of some vaccines, even since the 70s. And the thing is as well, is that analogies are also important. So I always tell people, so one of the things I get is that I find the vaccine take real short to develop. And I'm like, yeah, because literally they built it's like building a house. They had the foundation, they had the walls, they had the piping, They just needed to know how to run the wiring. That's literally all they needed to do.
Mind you, these are the same people who rush to buy iPhone 12, 14, 15 when it comes out within a very short period of time too, right?
And I think too, we have to acknowledge the fact that people think that there's a risk, and people have acknowledged that there's a risk, but the risk is so minute, so minute. As I've told people, I ask people, have you ever drunk an energy drink? And they will be like, yeah. I said, have you ever drunk an energy drink with alcohol? What are you talking about? I was like, no, we have a whole song. I'm drinking, not calling the brand name, and
right.
And so, and we've drunk rum and not calling the brand name.
But to be fair to them, remember, it gives them wings. So far, COVID has not been proven to give anybody, to put anybody in flight. You know what I mean?
My point is this, but coming with that are risks of the same blood clots, increased heart rate, possible cardiac arrest, etc. When it is that they're talking about it's there to control you, and they will know what's going on. Hello, this thing we have here, they're tracking your movements. I have a conversation and I say, oh, shoes. And all of a sudden on my feed, a bunch of advertisements come up for shoes. And if it is you want to talk about is to control you, how many of us, I'm going to ask you to look and observe Trinidad and Tobago this Monday morning coming. What are we going to do? You talk about control, you talk about addiction, you talk about whatever. Everybody's going to be lined up outside every fast food joint. People are like listing off the things. And the thing is, food is very much an addiction for a lot of people, particularly fast food. And my point is that when they said that certain establishments were closing down, I saw people lined up around the corner in the middle of the night, because at that point in time there was no curfew.
Right. I don't want us to lose focus because we don't have much time. I want people to get the important message that we're here to give tonight, you know? So you are saying for those who are scared, because you work at the vaccination camp or site.
Well, I volunteered at the mass vaccination site, yeah.
Okay. And I want you to speak directly, just in one sentence, to people who are scared. Just tell them whether it's yourself, that they can contact you if they feel like they need more information. If there's a hotline number, if there are, just to give them that level of comfort. What do you think we can say to them?
I think in every group and in every family, we all know that one person that has all that information. We all know that one person that has that legitimate source of information. Most people don't know me from Adam, okay? So they don't have a history with me, etc. But there's that person in the family. And I'm pretty certain by now every family generally has one person, one friend, one neighbor, your priest, somebody who has taken the vaccine, your pastor, your imam, whoever has taken the vaccine, somebody that you trust.
Your doubles vendor. People
exactly.
Love the doubles vendor.
There's somebody that you trust who has had the vaccine, go and have a conversation with them. Beyond that as well, the Ministry of Health puts out information all the time. There is an inordinate amount of information that is there. Beyond that as well, you can also try to get in contact with your own doctor, your own medical professional, and ask them what they know about the particular vaccine, etc., and just try to get as much information as possible. But the one thing that I'm going to say to everyone is this, and I want you all to hear me very, very, very well. Vaccines are safe. Vaccines are necessary to protect you. And you can tell them this, the majority of people that are right now dying from COVID-19 in populations where some are vaccinated and some are unvaccinated are unvaccinated persons.
That's correct.
And apart from which, if it is that we want back, the only way we're going to get back the life that we want, the only way the economy is going to rebound, the only way that we're going to be able to get ourselves out of this darkness that we're in is for everybody to is to get to that 900,000 people being vaccinated. If not, we're never really going to fully open up. If not, we're never fully going to survive. We're not going to survive. Because life cannot continue the way it has been going. People are dealing with depression, anxiety. It has taken a toll on people economically. It has taken a toll on your children's education, and their ability to socialize, etc. And we're always living with this constant fear. To the point where I can't even do anything
I was just about to ask you.
And I couldn't even, I felt, even I'm fully vaccinated in 2 weeks out, you're still scared to hug her. And you're doing it, you still haven't gotten, and we need to get back to that.
We need to. Tell me a bit. You touched on it just briefly a couple of seconds ago. You personally, how have you managed your mental health with everything that's been happening? How is
Um,
Adrian?
the thing is that I'm one of those people that is extremely. I don't want to use the word paranoid. I'm
You
just
could use
extremely
it.
cautious. I'm
Okay.
just extremely cautious. I struggle. I struggle with anxiety.
Mhm.
I've had anxiety attacks and so forth. But one of the things that I have, but so for me, it's just been constant. I wear double mask now because of the Brazilian variant and the possibly if Delta ever gets here. I
Right.
sanitize all the time. I maintain my social distance. But what I also do is that I read a lot of books. I exercise. I also
Right.
find that humor really and truly helps a lot. So
Ah, well then
I
check me
tell you,
out.
well, exactly.
Check
But
me out.
Chinese do it very well. We share memes, we share cute videos. I think all of those things tend to help.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that is kind of how I've kind of managed to keep myself sane. You know what I mean?
Somewhat.
I
Somewhat.
can't get to the barber, but I will try a little something to make
You're
myself
looking good. You're looking
feel
good. It
lifted.
working. It working.
And that's what's important.
What do you think Carnival 2022 will look like, Adrian?
Well, okay, so this is the thing. Based on everything that I am reading and suggesting, the government has a target to get to the 900,000 persons maybe by November.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very ambitious target. I can't see us getting to 900,000 until maybe December, possibly even January. So I don't see Carnival 2022 happening in February. However, if we could do a 1972 and postpone it, not till May, because I think Carnival has become a little bit too intrusive. It's gotten too big. But
Right.
and you have SEA, you have CAPE, you have CSAC, etc. And that's a lot. You don't want to necessarily be distracting the teens and the kids during that particular period of time. If we can do it at the end of June, maybe July, when those exams are out of the way, and what is good is that yes, we'll have a week leading into Carnival, but because there also isn't Lent, we could also have a week after Carnival. So if you're like me, where you don't drink and you don't eat because you want to look good in the costume, it means the week after, when
Right.
you all inclusive, you could eat out and drink out your money literally. I can. So for me, it's something I would push to maybe see if we can do Carnival in July, because the sector
Mm.
needs it. The sector needs it. I mean, think of it. You play mass Monday and Tuesday. You go to a couple of feds. Well, but it wouldn't be Ash Wednesday. It'll be whatever day afterwards. And then by the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, before you leave, maybe you leave and people leave to go back home, you go to a couple of band launches because they don't see the costumes for 2023 one time.
Mm.
So I think
Mm.
that's in my mind how it will work for those 2 weeks. I think it will work. So hopefully, but again, people that is dependent on you all going out and getting vaccinated, encouraging your co-workers, encouraging your family to go get. I mean, literally, listen, getting vaccinated is very Trinbagonian. It is literally a jab jab.
Ah,
Jab
there you
one, jab
go.
two is a jab
There
jab.
you go.
Literally.
I love that ending because we have to wrap it up. That was perfect. Maybe that's what we should do at the vaccination site. Have the Blue Devils playing some pan and get them fired up for it. And there you go. So, Adrian, tell people how they can follow you on social media. I want to thank you, first of all, for joining us. This was very good. I hope we reached a few people. I hope people hear what you have to say and they take it in. And tell them where they can follow you, how they can get in touch with you.
The two that I have public is Facebook. I'm Adrian Raymond on Facebook, and on Instagram, where I'm really open and very public, is Oye is Adrian. I have my best content is on Instagram, to be honest, and it's Oye _is _Adrian. Easy to find.
Easy to find. So thank you again.
Thank
And
you
to
so much.
everyone who joined us tonight, thank you. I am Cindy Ann, your host. You can follow me on Instagram as well, Cindy Ann Boisseau. And thanks for chillaxing with us. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. Stay safe and remember to stay 6 feet apart. Bye.